Next up in the James Gunn-led DC Universe, Supergirl is slated to hit the box office on June 26th, 2026. And how is it shaping up? Well, right now it looks like Supergirl is shaping up to be a super dud. What's really super? Well, that would be you, the greatest audience on YouTube. We thank you so much for coming in, checking out the video. Please do click that like button on the way in as we discuss what's going to happen with James Gunn's Supergirl. And with that, let's bring on the panel.
It actually comes to us out of Forbes, of all places. Supergirl is starting to feel like it may be a big DCU miss, and this is by Paul Tassi. So Paul, guy who knows what he's talking about, Supergirl looks like it's going to be a super dud. I'm telling you. And by the way, I got to tell you, I don't think that her outfit looks bad. I think that I like her version of the Supergirl costume looks better than the Corin Sweat Superman costume. In my opinion, I think that they've done a much better job, but Millie Alcock is not helping the story here. There are two enormous Marvel superhero movies arriving this year: Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and Avengers Doomsday, both likely to gross $1 billion at the box office or more. But the first DCU film out in 2026, Supergirl, is starting to feel like it may have a very rocky road ahead of it. Not the ice cream. That's what it made me think of. I don't know why. I think I'm really hungry today. I'm really tired. I think I want to eat.
It's Vash's fault because we've been talking about food for the last 2 hours.
I tell you what, I don't know. At this point, I'm a bit concerned that this is going to land well among fans and as such be a draw at the box office, especially in the wake of the first DCU full-on Superman movie doing okay at best in the context of its release. That's a nice way of putting it. It really didn't do very well. A Superman film released correctly should have been $1 billion property, but it just wasn't a good movie. There was too many issues with it. Wasn't really even a Superman movie. It was a Justice Gang movie with Superman as a guest star. We are only a month away from the release of Supergirl, and buzz, or lack of it, does not feel like it's building much online. While I think most would agree that the House of the Dragon's Millie Alcock feels like a very solid pick for the role, everything else seems a bit off. I'll point first to a brand new interview from Variety in which director Craig Gillespie talks about how she'll be portrayed in the film. Though Alcock had worn the Supergirl costume in Superman, that would be the dress code while she's getting sloppy in another galaxy. Thus, the blondie t-shirt, which is what she wears all the time in the film. Gillespie says there's absolutely no makeup and she's making absolutely no effort with her appearance. That's not her priority. And she's not in a good mood. Now, let me ask you, in the audience and the panel, how many people want to go see a superhero movie about a depressed alcoholic female who runs around the galaxy just being depressed because she can't find her dog? Does that sound like a good time, a good way to spend your $15 and then your other $15 on popcorn, and then your $10 on soda pop at the movie theaters? That sound like a good time to you?
No way.
Nope.
It's not even like, I mean, I have a little girl. Why would I want her to watch that? She's looking up to these kind of people, and this is, I mean, okay, Supergirl. And then a little kid would be like, oh, I want to be like her. No, stay far away.
Yep.
And she looks like Sid from Toy Story. I don't care what anyone says.
Was there an actual Supergirl like in the comics, or is that like a real?
Yes, Supergirl is a real character. Her name is Kara Jor-El, and she is Clark's cousin from Krypton. And there's a whole thing about it, and so yeah, it's a real deal.
So they're yet again Hollywood's taking a story that's already established and wokeifying it or feminizing it, I should say.
I there's a run in the comics that they chose to base it off of, but it's not a popular run, and that's part of the problem. The characters, even in the comic books, people will do this all the time. People will say, "But don't you know it's based off a comic book story?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not necessarily based off a good comic book story. Just because something was in the comics doesn't make it worthy of the big screen, and also not everything works in the comics can translate properly to the big screen. It just,
if they don't do a good job executing it, it's going to be slop."
Yeah.
Well, I think they're going to execute Supergirl pretty badly. Actually, that's what I think is going to happen. And Sebrew chimes in with something I was going to say, which Supergirl from the TV show was very likable. I don't know why they made her an alcoholic. Absolutely, I liked the first several seasons of Supergirl, and then that show got super woke. Lots of tons of LGBT. Basically, the Supergirl show on the CW kind of became a show for the LGBT crowd, like literally made for the LGBT crowd. And so it just kind of ostracized everybody else based on the characters and the way
they don't know how to portray a girl being a tomboy. Like in the 90s, a girl could be a tomboy but not be to this extreme. This is trying to masculine, I don't know what they're trying to do with this, but do you remember Hancock, the Will Smith wannabe superhero movie?
Yes, so that's basically
right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ron. That's where I was getting at with this.
Go. I mean, say what you were going to say, because I think it's the same idea that I was thinking in my head. Go ahead.
Well, they're just trying to basically with that movie Hancock, they're trying to do something similar to that type of aspect with this young lady, but it's not working. It worked for Hancock because, maybe because he was a male actor and it just kind of fit with the story. If anyone knows the real story of Hancock, it kind of goes with that. It kind of meshed well. It was tolerable, but this is not tolerable. A young lady being messy, sloppy, alcoholic, just... Go ahead, Erika.
When I hear the words Supergirl, I think of a girl, like someone who's a teenager, like a minor, not an adult or young adult. And they're portraying her as being an alcoholic. I don't know anything about this whole comic thing. It's like never been on my radar, even as a kid. So I'm just, but as an adult, I'm just sitting here like, I think of it as a little girl, with powers. Now that I'm hearing she's related to Superman, but still Supergirl.
Right. So in Smallville, she shows up, and I think she's maybe around 18 or something, like in that series.
Yeah.
So I never got that far in the series. I got in, and I forgot where I left off.
And then also Helen Slater portrayed Supergirl in the movie I think it was between Superman 3 and 4, or maybe it was, pretty sure it was between Superman 3 and 4 and not after 4. Originally, I believe that Supergirl was supposed to be in Superman 3 with Christopher Reeve, and then they decided to rewrite the script and separate that out. They turned Brainiac into a supercomputer. And they
good
brought
for
in
them
Richard
because
Pryor.
It didn't ruin the Reeves franchise. Like, I'm glad they didn't do that.
Well, I don't think it would have. I think if they would have gotten the story right, it would have been fine. The Reeves franchise was kind of ruined by Superman 4, unfortunately. But he was actually going to do Superman 5, then the accident happened. So
yeah, I remember, and that's so sad. But Superman 4 was awful. But you're right about that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nuclear Man. That was which is one of the reasons why I couldn't say the worst aspect of Superman 4 was ended up being the main crux of the villain in the David Corn Sweat movie. Like it was, I'm like, that's, if anybody who's watched the two will know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into it, but it was ridiculous. But so there's not a lot of buzz online. nobody's talking about this movie like in a really good way. Not enough people. I don't know who it's supposed to satisfy. You're welcome, Wild Man. Just go watch the Corn Sweat version and you'll be reminded of it all day long because it's the same basic story.
The Gen Zers that are like completely to the left will want to see it.
Probably, but that's few and far between. Do they even have the money? We'll see. Anyhow, Millie herself, the actress playing Supergirl, is making it worse. Supergirl fan interest levels falling after actress insults, quote, Christian dads. This is by our good friend Marvin Montanero out of thatparkplace.com. Bookmark it if you haven't done so yet. There it is. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, number 1, 2021 DC Comics. Fresh audience tracking for Supergirl reportedly shows fan interest beginning to decline. And the timing could hardly be worse for DC Studios. The new numbers arrive after weeks of online backlash surrounding star Millie Alcock and growing concern over the overall health of James Gunn's cinematic universe. According to tracking data out of the Quorum, Supergirl currently sits at 53% audience awareness, but only 46% interest. So out of the 53% that are even aware of it, less than half are interested. The bigger issue is that awareness has remained flat while interest has actually declined. Eesh. Previous tracking reportedly showed the film sitting at the same awareness level, but carrying 48% audience interest. In other words, more people are hearing about the movie without becoming more excited to actually see it. That's not the trajectory Warner Brothers wants heading into this huge release. Audience interest moving the wrong direction. Studios generally expect awareness and audience enthusiasm to climb together as marketing ramps up. New trailers, TV spots, interviews, and social media campaigns are supposed to generate momentum. Instead, Supergirl appears to be struggling to convert visibility into excitement. And yeah, there's a lot more advertising for this. I've seen it lately. That matters because early audience interest tracking can often reveal broader problems long before a movie actually hits theaters. The situation becomes even more concerning when paired with recent box office forecasting from Box Office Theory, which projected Supergirl for an opening weekend between, it's not good for a big blockbuster, 47 million and 65 million domestically. If opening just under 100 million after a 4-day was bad for The Mandalorian Grogu, imagine how bad only half of that is for, and I'm pretty sure that the production budget for Supergirl was probably a little bit more than The Mandalorian Grogu, although the advertising budget for that movie was pretty big. So I don't know. Those numbers immediately draw comparisons online to recent superhero disappointments, including The Marvels, The Flash, and Black Adam. I think that probably this is going to be very, very similar as far as box office is concerned to The Marvels at best. But the Millie Alcock controversy continues to follow the film. A major part of the conversation surrounding Supergirl continues to revolve around Millie Alcock herself. The actress generated backlash online after mocking fans, pushing back against her rhetoric, noting during interviews that they're mostly, quote, Christian dads, unquote, and that she's comfortable upsetting the right people. Who says that? Like who
this
goes
is
out
what
there?
They're doing to her, and she's falling for that trap because she's young and naive. Here we have another situation. Thank God Brie Larson got out of it. She's pulling another Ziegler, another Zendaya. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I don't think Zendaya's ever been this bad. Ziegler, probably. Grande and Arrivo, just weirdos, not really like that.
She's heading that down that direction, though. If she's not careful.
Definitely, yeah. It's one of those things where Millie Alcock leans over to Rachel and says, "Hey, Rachel, hold my beer." Those comments spread rapidly across social media and quickly became attached to public perception surrounding the film. Fans have seen similar situations play out with other franchise stars in recent years, where off-screen controversy increasingly overshadowed the actual movie. Whether fair or unfair, Alcock's comments are now part of the broader Supergirl conversation. Superman and Lobo are suddenly everywhere in the marketing. Lobo, by the way, if you don't know who that is a character being portrayed by somebody help me out. The guy that played Aquaman.
Oh, that's Jason Momoa, isn't it?
Thank you. Jason Momoa. Recent TV spots have prominently featured Corn Sweat Superman, while promotional discussion online has increasingly focused on Jason Momoa's Lobo appearance as well, which is weird because Jason Momoa played Aquaman in the other DC franchise, and so he's going from, this is kind of a little bit like Captain America, Chris Evans having played Johnny Storm, and then he played Captain America, and then they made a funny joke about that in Deadpool and Wolverine, where Deadpool's like, "Oh, he's going to save the thing. He's going to save the thing," and everybody thought he was going to say the Captain America line, "Avengers Assemble." Instead, he goes, "Flame on," and he's not Captain America. He was Johnny Storm. So that was very, very funny. Yeah, Sheriff Lobo. Yeah, so he was a very, very popular 90s character. Absolutely. And right now, why they're putting him front and center in the marketing is because, and I've seen this myself in the conversations online, especially on X, that people have more excitement about the Lobo character than they do about Supergirl. Ultimately, James Gunn ruined Supergirl to me. Yep. Indeed. I mean, I wouldn't say that Gunn ruins everything, but I think that the only thing that Gunn has done and done well and done right is Guardians of the Galaxy. That's just, maybe it's my opinion, but I literally haven't liked anything else that Gunn has touched, but I like everything in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is really, really bizarre. I can't even wrap my head around it, but I did not like Suicide Squad, either one of them.
I don't like Suicide Squad at all. Nothing.
No, I
heard it was bad.
I don't like it. It was very popular, very popular, but
I just wasn't my, I don't know. I just, and I like the idea of the Suicide Squad. I just don't like James Gunn doing it. Anyway, this has led some fans to question whether Warner Brothers is already trying to bolster interest by emphasizing characters audiences may be more familiar with or like better. Studios often pivot towards recognizable franchise elements when concern starts creeping in about a project's standalone drawing power. And there may be another problem with relying on Superman as a selling point. Superman didn't become the massive win DC needed. And you can read the rest of that on That Park Place, but absolutely, that's one of the problems. You cannot rely on David Corenswet's version of Superman to sell this version of Supergirl when people didn't like that version of Superman. I think that bringing in James Gunn to run the DC universe was a huge mistake. Because James Gunn, kind of like Zack Snyder, to be honest with you, they both have a very particular flavor, if you will, where anything that Snyder does feels like Snyder. Anything that Gunn does feels like Gunn. You just get a sense that it's their movie. And one thing about Kevin Feige, maybe because of Ike Perlmutter at the time or whatever, but I will say that when they were starting off the MCU, every single movie felt different. Like it felt very like Iron Man felt very different than the Hulk. The Hulk felt very different than Thor. Thor felt very different than Captain America. They all felt, and it's because they were given to different directors who, the directors for the most part were allowed to do their own thing. And then they said, but you got to put these elements in that connect them. Okay. So they did that, but it really ended up working. It was a huge risk, but it ended up working. But none of them felt like I'm getting the same flavor, like felt like they were coming from the same restaurant or whatever. It just, it all felt different. And so when they got connected in the Avengers, you felt, it felt like something had happened that had never happened before, which wasn't even true. I mean, the truth of the matter is that Universal did it back in the old days with the monster movies. They brought Frankenstein and Dracula and all that together in movies before. So it had been done before, but it had never been done in the way that the MCU did it. And that's what made it huge. And going choking. That's funny. Could be worse. Taika Waititi could be running DC. What they need is they need somebody like a Jon Favreau. Like Jon Favreau would be a great DC
Did you see the
like,
latest
overall
thing
run.
he said? John Favreau confessing that he's like, I don't know why they wanted me to do this, or he made a
about Mandalorian
statement.
Grogu?
Yeah, he made a statement about that because he has a very good reputation.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, Millie Alcock and the whole James Gunn Supergirl, I just don't think it's going to be good.
Now it's time for you to chime in. Supergirl, will it be boom or will it be bust at the box office? Please do share your thoughts in the comments below before you head out the door. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please do watch The Dish live 2 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesdays at 3, and Wednesdays at 4 p.m. And until next time, thank you so much for coming in. We'll see ya real soon. Bye, everybody. Ciao.